Hey guys, Liat here from Study Notes ABA. As you know, we do all things BCBA and BCABA test prep. And one of the most commonly asked questions is, what the hell should I write on my whiteboard? If you're wondering what a whiteboard is, the whiteboard is a literal laminated piece of paper. Imagine a white sheet of paper, like 8.5 by 11, that they're going to hand you on the testing day with a pen that you can write on. Okay? It may or may not have a permanent marker they give you so that you can't erase anything, but usually you can't erase anything. However, just prepare to have a piece of paper that you could use to jot your thoughts or write down things that you know you need to remember. So my tips for this are, look, you only have a limited time. So you don't want to write down every single thing you ever learned. If there's things that you know and you know it really well, don't write it down. You could use this either to help you solve equations that you need, or to jot down which questions you had difficulty on, or if there's certain concepts that you know you often forget and can literally stay on your mind just until you get that test in front of you. Write those and spill them out first. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what my whiteboard would look like. But remember, everyone's might look different because there might be concepts that for me, I'm like, I need to get these out immediately because I always forget them. Whereas those concepts may be easy for you. But this might help you think of what kind of things you struggle with or which concepts are hard for you to remember so that it can help you when making your whiteboard. So here I'm starting with a blank page, and let me tell you what I'm going to do to start. I am going to start off by writing something like an affirmation. I might start with something as simple as Liat Sachs, BCBA. Or you could write like, I am passing this test. Okay? Set the vibe. You know what I mean? All right. So now let's see what else I would write here. So I know personally something that I always seem to confuse is I immediately am always like, okay, I got to get this off my mind. Jump in. I'm going to write down the 7 dimensions of ABA and the attitude. So I know the 7 dimensions. Right? SNABA, we have ACYO, age, B. Okay? I'm really quick going to write those in. Applied. Conceptually systematic. Technological. Analytical. Generality. Effective. And behavioral. I'm going to write the 7 dimensions. And for me personally, I'm also going to write the attitudes of science, because when there's a question, sometimes I'll be like, which of the following is an attitude? Sometimes I confuse the attitudes and the dimensions, especially if I'm under stress with a test. So I'm going to go ahead and do those. And I know that is PS, dear PP. So then I'm going to write out my attitudes. Okay. And I see that it says, just check really quickly. Does it say recording for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You can exit now in case your face pulls up. All right. So then I'm going to do the attitudes. And I know the attitudes, I have all of them here. We have, and I personally always remember in different order. So then I might do parsimony, pragmatism, philosophic doubt, determinism, replication, experimentation, empiricism. I might have spelled that wrong, but I don't give a shit because I'm just putting this to get myself on there. And the S we have is selectionism. Okay, cool. So I got those two things down. I put those down quickly because those are the kind of things that I just don't want leaving my brain before I even get started. Okay. Now I'm definitely on my exam always going to have a basic ABC. It seems basic, but whenever they're asking you about certain questions, there might be multiple things going on. They might be like, Liat was talking to Martha and asked Martha if she wanted to hang out. Martha said no. So then Liat went and jumped off a cliff. Blah, 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 blah. Then after she jumped off the cliff, her parents gave her a lot of attention. And then it might ask Martha's behavior in this scenario. So then I'm going to write down Martha in the B section. So I'm going to have this ready to go that if I have any questions and it's asking about a specific person's behavior, that I'm always remembering where the A, B, C are. I might also write that as the SRS. Like, you better be writing this shit out on the test. So that's going to be something I definitely have. Also, something that I always need to remember is when I talk about stimulus generalization and response generalization. It's funny, my handwriting is not great because I feel like I'm actually at the test, like trying to like get this out really quickly. So stimulus response generalization, I would then put the word multiple in front of it because that's how I remember it. Right? Something like that. And then I would do stimulus, 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 response. And for response generalization, I would do stimulus, okay? Also, it's like a word that I might need response generalization. I might put like, oh, I remember that it has to be a functionally equivalent response. Okay. Now, something else that I might think of is things that confuse me, such as I know that I need the equations for, I think of QRST. So I think RST. That's going to be reflexivity. That's talking about stimulus equivalence, symmetry, and transitivity. So I personally remember these better with equation. So I'd know reflexivity is A equals A. Okay. Symmetry, I'd write down my equations. A equals B and B equals A. Right? Now, actually, hold on. Did I just? No, yeah, I did it right. Okay. Sorry, you'll have to cut these breaks out. Transitivity would be if A equals B and B equals C, so A equals C. Okay. Now, these are things that I need help remembering, so I'd write them down. If yours are different, again, do whatever you need to do. Okay. So then I would do something like schedule. Like, I don't want to write every single thing down that I don't need, but I'll tell you this. As I get some questions on the test and it's asking me like, which of the following schedules of reinforcement has a scallop effect, right? That might make me really quickly want to draw that out. So I might quickly be like, shh, high rate of responding, we know is that variable ratio. Fixed ratio, also, we see responding, but it does have those post-reinforcement pauses, right? Then we have variable interval. This helps me have a visual. And then we know we have fixed interval, which is more that I'm just writing words that help me remember it, okay? But also, like, there's certain things that I may need to know. We know that a fixed ratio is high rate with a post-reinforcement pause. Fixed interval. We know we have the scallop. Variable interval. We know it's steady, low to moderate. Variable ratio. We know that it's oops, high responding, that is steady. Then in my head, I might be like most resistant to um, extinction, right? All of these things that I'm thinking about. So these are things that I personally have sometimes confusion on. I also might want to do, depending on what other areas that I have difficulty. But me personally, something I did when I took the test is I really quickly, I wrote out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I made them into groups of 10. It just seemed less intimidating to me. Almost like these little groups, and once I do it, I feel the reinforcement, okay? So let's pretend like I did this all the way to 185. As I was going through, let's say I was answering one and I was a little confused on one, I might put a star next to 2, like I didn't know, or I felt good about 3, great. 4, I think it's either A or D. It tells me to go back because on the test, you could flag these different things. So that's important to remember as well. I would do this all the way through. This is me personally. It put them in groups of 10 and I felt better about it. Now, also, while you are answering different questions, you want to save some room in case you need to draw something out. Sometimes it might give you some data, right? Let's say the exam is like, um, here's all the numbers that happened in condition A and all the numbers that happened in condition B. You might need to draw that out because you could do a much better visual analysis, right? So let's say it gave me numbers. I don't know exactly what it was, but I drew out A and B. And once I have the space here to actually graph it, right? And then I put the numbers in. And now I'm like, whoa. So if it asked me a question, I could see like, oh, there was definitely a level change here. Definitely intervention we did see an increase in the behavior, right? It's giving me space to draw these things out. Sometimes you just need to draw it out. Or let's say you're doing a reflexivity, symmetry, transitivity, stimulus equivalence question. You might need to have space to be like, okay, it was saying okay, they said there was a dog and a dog is the same as a um, puppy. Okay, so that's going to be my stimulus A and my stimulus B. And then they said that a puppy is the same as a pooch. Okay, so that'd be stimulus C. So this is how my brain's working, okay? And then it talks about deriving that a dog is the same thing as a pooch without anyone teaching you that. I just drew out transitivity, right? But I had space on my paper to draw this out. A lot of these things I say, write it out. Anytime you get a question asking about anyone's behavior, insert it into the actual ABC. People miss so many things because of this. Also, me personally, I would draw out an 4-term contingency. MO, SD, behavior, and consequence. And draw in anytime you're trying to figure something out, right? Okay, they said, okay, this mock question had deprivation of water. Okay, they said there was a water fountain. Consequence, no longer thirsty, right? So they talk about what's it going to do to your behavior if this is available. It's definitely going to, and then I'm going to think like, maybe I might have on here, I might have, remember the value altering effects are establishing operation and abolishing operation, and the Behavior altering effects are evocative effect and abative effect. So if it's asking me something like, well, what would this do to our behavior in terms of drinking water? I could say, oh, well, it looks like they were deprived of water, which, and when I draw it out, it's saying they could no longer be thirsty. That's definitely a value altering establishing operation, establishing that consequence is valuable. And what's it going to do to my behavior? It's going to evoke my behavior of drinking water. So if it asked, what is the behavior altering effect in a question, I have it that I could draw it out right here. Draw this shit out. It's a stressful test. You have so much in your head. If you're ever trying to like even add up numbers to figure out maybe IOA, write it down. Okay. Even if you think you could do the mental math, write it down, use the calculator on the test. This piece of paper is there to help you to have something to jot. Remind yourself you're a baddie. Any of the things that you need to dump, do it. Sometimes one question also might remind you about another concept, right? So you're like, oh, shoot, I actually totally forgot about, like, oh my God, this asked me a question about um, whole interval and partial interval. That actually reminds me that I want to draw that on my paper, right? So maybe I would do whole interval. No, it's the increase. And then I draw my partial when we want to decrease behavior, right? And we know that it's under. So I might write out, if you're in the collective, you get it, that your butthole's under everything else. So it underestimates behavior, and partial overestimates behavior. But the arrows show that the whole interval is used when we want to increase a behavior, and the partial is when we want to decrease a behavior. Again, I just want to tell you that this would be what I would write. Your board may look totally different. You could use it for whatever you want. If you don't want to write anything, don't. But I would always recommend writing out when you get any test question about stimulus generalization, response generalization, draw it out. Anytime it's asking about a specific behavior, put it into the ABCs or into the MOSD, behavior and consequence. When it talks about data that you can't see visually, make a mini graph on your paper. It's going to look totally different than when you see it as numbers. Write out whichever areas you have difficulty and use this to your advantage on the test. Also, it helps you that you can move past a question and be like, oh, yeah, I remember when I have extra time at the end, I wanted to go back to question 4. And I was between answer A and answer D on question 4. But now that I answered question 79, I realized it actually gave me information to confirm that the answer really is D on number 4. So do this. It will help you go in, realize this is a helping tool. You're not forced to put anything on it, but hopefully this will help you prepare before you go into your exam. I would also recommend practicing writing out a whiteboard before you actually go into the exam and think about what things do I really need on there. All right, I hope this helps you and you could share it with friends. Come check out our collectives or any of our free YouTube videos. We are teaching you everything you need to know for the BCBA or BCABA exam. Head on over to STUDYNOTESABA.com. We have it all for you there. Love you, mean it, and see you in class.